Hey, you. Yeah, you. Do you like fighting dragons? Specifically malicious ones of the elder variety? Perfect. Then have I got a game for you. It's called Guild Wars 2, an MMOR. Yeah, yeah. No, I totally understand. Sometimes you don't have time for the gear treadmill, but Guild Wars 2 doesn't have that. You can take a break from the game and return to pick up where you've left off without worrying about huge gear creeps. What? You can't do another sub fee. Don't worry about that either. Guild Wars 2 doesn't have a sub fee. Once you buy the expansions and the already released Living World seasons, you always own them. Plus, once you've paid, you can get all the newly released Living World seasons after it just by logging in. Well, I can understand not wanting to pay that much before you know what the game is like. Luckily, Guild Wars 2 has a free trial available for you. Yeah, of course. How about I tell you a bit about it? I suppose the best place to start is to break down how this all works. By this, I mean the paywalls, because it has a lot to do with what you will and won't get. Guild Wars 2 has 3 expansions, and a 4th foreshadowed in the future. These are the major paywalls that open up large chunks of the Guild Wars 2 content. Besides these are episodic story releases known as Living World seasons that make up the remainder. To play the content, you need to own the episodes tied to it. The cool thing with Living World seasons, though, is that if you've bought the latest expansion, you will get the Living World seasons releasing after it for free just by logging in. And you technically don't even need to spend money on the other Living World seasons either, because you can buy the Living World seasons with gems. And since there's a currency exchange, you could grind gold and simply exchange it. But that's only possible for paid accounts. ANET locked the gold to gems exchange for trials. Anyways, with this in mind, as a trial, you'll only be getting the core game and Living World Season 1 for free. This limits you to all the content tied to those 2 sections of the story, meaning maps, instanced content, stats, classes, traits, and so on. All of this is indefinite. There's no timer or level gate. Once you get to level 80, which is the max level in the game, you can continue playing with the trial and all the content it has available. However, progression after this, like masteries, elite specializations, or anything else, isn't open. That means for people interested in PvE endgame, raids and most of the strikes are locked. Don't worry though, there's still a buttload of things that you can do in the trial, like world versus world, PvP, fractals, dungeons, world bosses, map exploration, and more. It's pretty wide open on what you can do in that respect. You also have access to 8 of the 9 classes, but you only have 2 character slots available to you. If you aren't sure which class you want to play, you can experiment with them in the Heart of the Mist once you reach level 3. Entering will boost you to level 80, unlocking all of the core traits, and you can pick up whatever weapon you want for cheap at the Weaponsmith NPC by Market Waypoint. You don't even need to enter a PvP match. Just go hit some golems and try things out until you found a class that you're excited to play. Then go back to the PvE maps and begin leveling without having to worry about whether you like the class later on or not. As a forewarning though, you can expect limitations on day-to-day gameplay going forward after this, especially in the aspect of communication because they need to fight off bots and spammers. You'll be completely locked out of map chat for this reason. You can read, you can't type. Of course, this isn't the only way to interact with people around you though, so the only thing this limits is your ability to ask in the instance of your map questions if you need to. As a workaround for this, you can speak in say chat if there are others in your area, as well as whisper players, though this is also capped at 1 new person every 30 seconds if they're on your map. Side note, mutual friends have a bit more freedom with the ability to whisper and mail each other from anywhere in the game. Of course, with Say Chat, if there's no one around, you may have a bit of an issue. Plus, if they're all new players like you, asking them may not get you any answers. Instead, I'd suggest keeping an eye out for specific icons on your map. They will look like either a Dorito, a cat, or an apple. The person attached to them is generally an experienced player who's letting everyone know with a tag over their head that they are a point people can conjugate to. You can use their tag to whisper them, or join their squad, a group of 50 players that they're commanding. Speaking in squad chat is a luxury that you'll get at level 30, so if you're below that, use the squad to find where the other members are on the map. They'll show up as blue dots. Then head over to the group of them and ask your questions in Say Chat. Hopefully at this point someone experienced will be able to help you out. There's just a few other chat restrictions, but they deal with PvP, and since I wouldn't suggest you do PvP until you have a handle on the combat, we'll just list them briefly. Team chat is the only one you'll be allowed to use while in matches, and you can't use map chat in the Heart of the Mist until you've reached the level 20. Other than communication, there are a couple of basic limitations that ArenaNet has placed on trial accounts. They aren't anything huge and don't actually limit you in major ways. The first of which is your inability to transfer servers. The server system is largely obsolete though outside of World vs. World, and even that is in the process of changing with the new guild-based alliance system ANET is working on. Until then, whichever server you pick is permanent, so if your friend is on a different server, you can't World v World together. If you upgrade to a paid account, you do get one free transfer though. This is way less relevant than, say, the inventory system. For the trial, you only get 2 additional spots for bags. Don't worry. Remember I said there wasn't anything that was majorly limiting? I still mean that. The lack of bag space only means that you'll be sorting your inventory just a tiny bit more than paid players. You will be able to slowly increase your inventory space with time as you upgrade your bags from the 4-slot ones you get while leveling to higher ones. Just keep an eye out for them at the NPCs you pass and salvage down anything that you don't use with salvage kits. That way, all the basic materials can be deposited into your invisible inventory material storage. Another thing you can do is sell things on the trading post, which is a good way to make gold outside of the 2 gold you get from doing dailies. Trial accounts have a set list of items they are able to buy and sell from. But, again, don't freak out. You can still get everything on the trading post just by the longer process of using crafters. The only thing you're missing out on is convenience. Besides this, the only other core feature you'll find limited outside of content and communication is the region you'll have available to you. You will only be able to explore Corteria, which means Kryda, Ascalon, Muguma Jungle, Shiver Peaks Mountains, and Ore. However, until you've reached level 10, you'll be locked into the starter maps. You can waypoint to the other starter zones though, so if you want to change in scenery or have a friend you'd like to level with, you are able to do that. I'd also just highly recommend checking out those areas in general. You'll easily get to level 10 just wandering around the starter zones. The only other map you'll be locked out of in Corteria after that is Lion's Arch, which is accessible at level 35. I put a bunch of helpful links in the description as well as a question of the day if you're interested in checking those out. Thanks a bunch for listening. If you found this helpful, please consider liking and sharing with your friends. Subscribing is also a free way to help support my channel and see when I release my next video. See you next time. Bye!